Now, if you guys see any other
Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
breaking,
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
all right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're finally back in studio. Alex, can you get that door real quick? Thanks, buddy. Yes, we are back in studio at our normal time. Tim's mad because he didn't get to sleep in this morning.
It was a late hockey game, man.
I know. I was up late too watching that. Johnny Gerber was supposed to be co-hosting with me, but clearly his festivities gone on far too long last night as well.
He might be having breakfast with a lovely Blasian this morning. I'm not sure.
He may have been playing hockey last night. Watching hockey last night. What was going on? But it's us this morning, so you got the whole crew back. We look forward to all your snarky comments. Yesterday was fun at Rivers. We had a great time. Food was great. Met some of the great folks. Met the great Rick. Rick came in.
Rick was there?
Yes.
I missed Rick.
Yeah. Rick was great. Great to meet Rick. Mike H was there. Joe was there. So we had a lot of the regulars were in. So it's good to see everybody.
Did everybody get some T-shirts?
They got T-shirts. They got hats. Mike won the tickets. So it's all good. It's all good. So this morning we're going to get back on it. We got a lot of sound yesterday from Buccaneers OTAs from Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Anthony Walker, Todd Bowles. So we'll get to that. We'll get to all kinds of fun stuff as well. So we'll do a little hockey last night. We got to start with that, partner. And by the way, Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 11:30, get his wrap up on Bucs OTAs this week. So we'll do a lot of Bucs, do some Rays, get ready for the Mets. I didn't realize the Mets have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
And they are smoking hot.
Does it count though? Because it's in the National League.
6 in a row. What does that matter? What does that mean?
How about New York baseball right now, where the Mets have like a 5.5 game lead and the Yankees have a 4.5 game lead in their respective division? Baseball in New York's going well right now.
Yeah, Pete Alonso's killing it. Plant's own. So a lot of good stuff happening in baseball. We'll get you ready for Rays and Mets this weekend. That should be a fun series. So, all right. Wait, this is not the Rick the Rick we met last night is not the one that chimes in on the show? He said he was. I thought that was the Rick.
Did we have a fake Rick?
Maybe his name was Rick and he listens to the show. He just doesn't. It's not this Rick.
It's not this Rick. Well, this is the Rick we need to meet. I mean, no offense to the other Rick. He's probably listening right now too.
Right.
You know what would help, guys? If you had freaking profile pictures on your damn profiles, that would help everyone tremendously.
Are you all that ugly? Are you all that ugly that you can't put what are we doing here? All right. What a hockey game last night. What a freaking hockey game. So we're watching, the first period at Riveters, and it's like, I'm like 3-0. Really? Am I going to stick around for this BS? 3-0? Nah, I'm going home. I can't hear it. And I'm not cheering for the Panthers. I just cannot bring myself to cheer for the Panthers. Yeah, I just can't. And Canada, I want to see Canada win. No, I don't mind Canada. I like Canada. I like Canadians in general, except for Toronto fans who boo our anthem. Sure. But they're a small minority of folks.
That's true.
Most Canadians are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. So we love them, especially those in Edmonton. What a beautiful place, Edmonton. We love Edmonton.
It is pretty, man.
Would I rather go to Edmonton or Miami? Huh? Seriously?
Give me Edmonton any day.
There are few places on this planet that I would I would prefer. I would not prefer Miami. I'm trying to put this in the nicest way I can. I'll go a lot of other places besides Miami. Not going there. And I grew up down there. No. Absolutely love Canada. And one of the most beautiful countries in the world. So what a game, and they come back, they're willing their way back. And Calvin Pickard, who's, a journeyman at best, but I didn't realize he's undefeated in these playoffs until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And so they pull Skinner, Pickard comes in and he was fantastic until 20 seconds left in regulation. And they pulled the goalie with 2:35 left in the game. And the Panthers are almost exclusively down in Edmonton's end, and they're defending. But they had a couple of clears, and it's looking like they're going to get the win 4-3 in regulation, or even the series. Whole different deal. I mean, when it's 3-0 in the first period, and the Panthers are up 2-1, you're like, oh, it's going to be 3-1. The series is over. But not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. But then Pickard goes behind the net, and he's got all the time in the world. All he has to do is just shoot it up the boards and get it out. I mean, this is like goalie 101.
Yeah.
And he fans on it.
Tries to get fancy and he plays with it.
And then the defenseman, I don't know what the hell he was doing. But anyway, the Panthers get control of the puck. And then Pickard's so like way out of his net, out of position. Bennett puts it in the back. Was it Reinhart? Reinhart scores with 19 seconds left. 19 seconds left. Same that happened in game 2 when Edmonton scored with 19 seconds left. I think it was Corey Perry, and the Panthers came back to win that game in overtime.
Pickard was so far out of position, he almost wasn't even in the crease. He was almost entirely out of the crease when Reinhardt scored that goal.
I think he was. Like, how can you with 19 seconds left? What are we doing here? What are we doing? No time to get super aggressive as a goalie. And then you're thinking, okay, no way Edmonton can come back and win that. What's that?
Somebody from the Maple Leafs are calling me because we're talking about Edmonton.
Yes, we love Edmonton. Toronto, you people.
Calling me right now.
You people in Toronto who boo us. I'm not so sure about you folks.
Anyone in Toronto.
Yeah, but we're rooting for Canada. I'm rooting for Canada.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, well, maybe more appropriately rooting against the
You're rooting against the Panthers. Yeah, I'm actively rooting for the Oilers.
Okay, that's fair. So what a game. What a game. And Draisaitl comes back and wins it, 11 minutes into overtime. And poor Taylor and Kelsey have to go home losers again.
Why are we showing them on a freaking hockey finals game? Who the hell cares?
I think the NHL was like, oh, my God, Taylor Swift is here. We got to put her on TV like a billion times.
Neither one of them were technically representing a team with what they were wearing, so no one knew. But when the Panthers scored the tying goal with 19 ticks left, they cheered. So that's how you knew. That's how we knew who they were cheering for, because otherwise they were very subdued. But why do we care? I know you're a Taylor Swift. You're a Swiftie. I get it. But do you care that she was at the freaking final game last night?
No. I mean, it's nice. If there's celebrities there, I want to see who's there. Sure. But we don't have to put them on.
I'd rather see Rick Moranis if he was at the, I don't know, what's a famous Canadian? Ryan Reynolds, Michael J. Fox, William Shatner. I don't know. We're listing off your famous Bryan Adams.
Canadians.
Yeah. Yes. I don't care.
So I think we could not uncover any particular allegiance, right? We don't know.
No, they were cheering for the Panthers. They cheered heavily when the Panthers scored the tying goal. So that's how everyone knew. But
well, then take your L, Kelsey.
Yes.
And take
nobody cares.
And move on. Well, it's Miami, right? It's glitz and glamour. It's we're going to be on, and that is just such a Panthers front running thing. So are the Panthers going to claim Taylor Swift now as one of their fans?
And neither one of them live in Miami. Like, what are they doing there? Neither one of them live there. They're not from there. They don't live there. Why are they there?
Because celebrities like to be seen in Miami.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I had the money, I'd be going to all those things too. But nobody would care if I was there.
No, exactly. But anyway, here we are spending 3 minutes talking about them. You got sucked in. They got you. I
almost turned it off.
But I would still say, so now it's best of 3, right? As we head back to Edmonton, and they have two of these 3 games. If there's a game 7, it will be played in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. I like their chances. A lot, even though I think the Panthers have been the better team in this series. I think that's fair.
Oh,
you just can't count out McDavid and Draisaitl. So it was great theater last night. I absolutely loved it.
So did I hear this? Game 7. Did I hear this right? Because TJ Reeves texted me this also, saying that this is the first time in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals that a team has blown a 3-0 lead after the first period.
Yeah, well, since 1919. 1919 when
the history of the NHL, right? Okay.
Montreal played the Seattle Metropolitans. Your favorite team, Metropolitans.
Love the Metropolitans.
Yeah, 1990.
Remember
You got to
watching
go
them
back.
play.
That's how big of a choke that was.
Remember
That's
watching
how
them
big
play.
of a choke at home it was. It hasn't happened since 1919.
There you go.
We were involved in trench warfare, and may soon be again.
May
this
soon be
weekend.
again in Seattle.
Head out to your local downtown.
Seattle
and
may
watch
burn
World
down
War
again.
III erupt. Oh yeah, I'm a little surly this morning. I got to admit, because I got up early, and about 6:00, and after watching a hockey game, and I made the mistake of getting on the Twitter machine. Went doom scrolling and finding out what the hell happened last night in Iran with the Israeli attacks and all the crap that's planned this weekend. Be safe out there, people. Get into your bunkers. The end is near. The end is near. Oh, so I'm a little upset this morning, and I want to go down the rabbit hole with you people. So keep me on task here. Yeah, Rick said he wasn't there last night. That wasn't him. We got Rick's confused. I'm Mike H, but I wasn't there. That's This is Mike H. Mike Holcomb.
There you go.
But I'm not Mike H. Can you guys
so confused right now?
You're killing me. Guys are killing me. Kenneth McClare says, I can't speak for anybody else, but unfortunately, yes, I am. Dog only played with me because I had a pork chop around my neck. I'm not quite sure the reference there.
Kenneth has entered the chat.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so yeah, good hockey game last night. And speaking of hockey, Nikita Kucherov wins a scoring title for the second straight year and still can't win the Hart Trophy. That goes to Connor Hellebuyck. Had a great year, wins the Vezina as well. Vasi finished second. But do you realize Kucherov was not only third, he was almost fourth by a point. You win 2 scoring titles in a row. So he's got 2 Lindsay Awards, 3 Art Ross trophies, and he's one of 5 players to do that in the history of the game. And we can't get the Hart Trophy. The bias against Lightning players, and maybe more against Kucherov in particular, by the professional writers who are not professional at all, in my mind.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, it's just I'm not gonna get too crazy over it. And I think, frankly, as a Lightning fan / employee, it's probably best for the team because he's gonna be a real surly bastard now. You think he was moody before? You think with the press and everybody else? Wait till you see this iteration of Nikita Kucherov.
I mean,
revenge
does he care?
Tour.
No, does he care? Like deep down inside, does he really care?
I think he cares about the Lindsay Award that's voted by the players.
Right.
I don't think he gives a rat's ass about this because he knows it's the writers. And, some of the writers felt like he disrespected the game at the All-Star game a few years ago when he didn't give any effort in the stupid little, games that they play. Would I have rather he just not played them? Yeah. And just sit it out. Just sit it out. Don't go. If it wasn't a good look, I'm going to say that it's not a great look. Is it disrespecting the game? Yeah. Nobody really wants to do it. So they just doing it to put on a show. So should you be, if you're there, just do it. Right.
Or don't go. Yeah.
Or don't go. So I could see it both ways, but I'm not, as a writer, if that pissed me off, I'm not going to, when voting for these very important awards, which I think are tied to contracts and everything else, they are in other sports, but I'm not quite sure of that, but they're very important awards, right? They about the legacy of the game. I would try to put my personal bias aside and be more objective about voting for these things. And I don't think they are. I just don't think they are, especially when it comes to Kucherov. And that ain't right. So
JP, I had this on my list of things to talk about today. And I wanted to pick your
Wait, you have a list of things to talk about for the show?
Every single day I have a list of things to talk about.
When did this start?
Since
You're doing
day
show
one.
prep now?
Do you know that I barely
out of here.
Get a word in edgewise during your show, even when you think you have no content? I don't ever get anything in.
Please, the floor is yours, my friend, especially today. Oh,
so
speaking of early bastards, these poor interns got to sit here with me all day. Yeah.
Oh Lord, yeah. If they're not getting paid, then they're not getting paid enough.
They need hazard pay today.
It's the whole thing.
I'm not being mean. I'm just Not feeling.
Yeah, I heard you before we went on the air, man. You were ripping somebody a new one in there.
No, I wasn't.
Go get your effing shine box.
I was trying to tell Patrick, who's being very diligent in uploading all the videos from yesterday. I told him like twice, like we already have them uploaded. He's uploading it on somewhere else. He's being very diligent about it. I'm like, we got it. We're good. You did all the work yesterday. You did all the good stuff yesterday. So just relax. He got me my Starbucks coffee this morning. So
I mean, all I heard was a bunch of
F you, F you, F you, and F you.
that is not true.
That's all I heard, man. And then sign box. I'm about a sign box. I don't know what all that was about.
Box? What are you even talking about? All right, what were you going to bring to the table?
Look, we talk in the NFL a lot about quarterbacks always winning the MVP, right? I mean, it's 9 years out of 10. It's always a quarterback, right?
Right.
Well, should a goalie, who goalies have their own freaking award, and he won that one too, the Vezina.
Right.
Should goalies be allowed to win the Hart? I mean, the Hart. I mean, they have their own award. So why are they eligible for both? And I know it's a rarity. He's only like the 5th or 4th goalie ever to win it.
Well, if you're the most outstanding player, I mean, a goalie's a player too, and obviously a very critical part of the team. And we also have awards. You know, we have the Selke Award,
sure,
right? We have the Lady Byng Award. I mean, they're not necessarily position specific,
right?
But so yeah, I mean, it's a good
But I mean, you could be the top goalie, which I still think Hellebuck was. Like I believe he deserves the Vezina, no question. But how do you then judge the best, him just being the best goalie in the league versus being the best overall player in the league when you got guys winning scoring titles? Okay, how do you say which one's more important? And how do you judge to vote on that, to decide that? Is a guy that, that wins the scoring title by 15 points, is he not more important to the league than the best goalie who finished with a .989 goals against average or something like that? Like, which one's the actual MVP of the entire league? Because which one's better? And they're different positions. Like, you can't,
right.
To me, you can't compare the two. If you have a goalie award, let him win the goalie award. If you have the overall MVP award, then like that needs to go to a position player to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun argument because I don't really know the answer.
It's kind of like the Cy Young, and can a pitcher win a Cy Young and an MVP? I think if you have a dominant season, like a supremely dominant season in goal, then yeah, I think it's possible. Was Hellebuck's season that good? Was it historic? I don't know.
I don't know about that. Yeah,
I think it was for a while, but I think at the end of the day, maybe not. So I don't know. I think it just has to be a historic season, and I'm not sure Hellebuck got there. But anyway,
so he's the first goalie to win the Hart since Carey Price in 2015.
Right.
And only the 4th goalie since the league expanded in '67. Dominic Hasek, Jose Teodor, and Carey Price are the other 3.
Yeah, and I didn't go back and look at their numbers that particular season. Were Hellebuck's numbers better than Carey Price's and these other guys? I don't know.
He finished with a .925 save percentage and a league best 2.0 goals against average with 8 shutouts. All led the league. That's an amazing stat for a goalie, and you won the Vezina. That's what you should win. But are you the best player in the league?
Yeah, and I think also my argument was, well, you snubbed Cooch last year, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came back and won the scoring title for the 2nd straight year. And then, I think, is it a yearly award? Yes. But can you look at it and say look at his greatness for the last 2 years and say maybe he hits his turn? Yeah, I think so. If I'm a writer, I have to take that into consideration. Sustained greatness. I mean, when you do it 1 year, obviously you're targeted, and he came back and did it again. So I don't know. I think I'll just look at it this way. I think it's going to piss Cooch off even more. And he's going to be more motivated. He'll be more on a revenge tour, and that's good for the Lightning. Keeps him motivated.
And I mean, you win the Art Ross Trophy for the scoring leader. For those of you that don't know what the names of all these trophies are, it's the Art Ross. So you automatically get that if you win the scoring title, right? It's not necessarily a voted on thing. Whereas the MVP, that's more subjective, right? Like But you got the Ted Lindsay, which,
Right.
like you said, you think that's the one that matters the most to him because it's voted on by.
I think
peers.
it matters the most to all players is what the players, your peers say about you.
Yeah.
Because clearly there's an agenda from the writers. So to me, it's like that's the least important award if I'm a player.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, it was a great regular season for the Lightning. I mean, we wrap this up in terms of their, they got 4 guys on the All-Star team with Hagel and had been finished 4th for the Norris. Vasi finishes 2nd for the Vezina. Cooch finishes 3rd for the MVP. So there you go. I mean, it's a great regular season. So what does that mean? You're out for the 3rd straight year in the first round, and maybe by the and once again to the conference champs, maybe the Stanley Cup champs. We'll see. But last year it was to the Stanley Cup champ that you got beaten. The year before it was Toronto who lost to then. I think they lost to the Panthers in the next round, didn't they?
Man, that is still inexplicable to me. That
series. Yeah. Well, because that was they lost 3 overtime games in that series.
Yeah.
And I thought they were the better team, but not on the scoreboard. So,
and then meanwhile, here in Dallas, we went to back Western Conference Finals, and we fired our coach.
Yeah, we never talked about that. Like, how does DeBoer get fired?
Look, there is a reason why Pete DeBoer, and I called it when they hired him, and I had no insight. It was a guess, but it was an educated guess. There's a reason why he's been to like 6 out of the last 7 conference finals, and he's been fired twice. Because his message gets extremely old in the room. He is not a player-friendly coach. The players don't like him. Owner Tom Ghilardi didn't even make that decision to fire him until all of the post-season interviews with all the players was done. When he did that, and literally everybody was just like, I can't skate with this guy anymore. Like, it was bad. It was bad. And it wasn't one of those things like, suck it up, Buttercup. There were real reasons and there were real issues with DeBoer. And just because of his track record, when they hired him, I said, man, I hope they win the cup in the first year with him because he ain't going to be here much longer than 1 or 2 years. And he made it, 4? But I don't know what those specific issues are.
It's just he's got a shelf life.
He's got a shelf. And you know what? It was funny because they said the same thing about Ken Hitchcock back in the day. When Ken Hitchcock took over for Bob Gainey in the late 90s, he was a minor league coach up at Kalamazoo. He had never coached in the NHL. He'd never played in the NHL. But very quickly he whipped things into shape better than Gainey did. They won a cup. They went to another finals after the year after that. But his shelf life was short too because you had, players. Brett Hull left town because of Ken Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And a bunch of players did.
Tortorella, I think it's considered similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A short shelf life, win it fast, and then be on your way. But
I tend to think that maybe the players are too soft. If the coach is winning, look, I mean,
in this day and age, that's probably true.
There could have been times where the Lightning said, I don't know about Cooper, his message is getting stale. People might even think now with 3 straight losses, that's not happening.
Right.
That's not happening. And
it's all about personality and relationships, man.
Yeah.
And Cooper obviously masters all of those.
Yeah.
Pete DeBoer to me,
for him, yeah.
I've been to one press conference with Pete DeBoer in the presser, and I was not impressed. Like, it's just his message, his tone.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's time to
But
take
he
a nap.
wins.
He does.
He wins.
Except for the big one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what matters around here and in Tampa. So,
but you'd like to, you might turn into the Rangers.
Yeah. It took us 50 years to win one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to fire guys. They can't get you over the top. Be careful what you wish for. You might be sitting there out of the playoffs as well.
For 20 years straight.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. To get to some of these great comments that are coming in this morning. Mike H. says Franco's attorney has stated his intention to ask the court to exonerate his client of all charges in the sexual abuse case. So they're resting their case, so to speak.
Based on what? Didn't we just hear that there's a bunch of new incriminating evidence?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get it exonerated before all that evidence comes out.
It's like, look, Judge, we paid you off. Can we just get this over?
doesn't
Did
seem
you not see the
fair.
stack of cash in your chambers? Will you please?
Yeah.
Actually, I
envelope
think
yet?
it's a tribunal, so you got to spend lots of money. You got to get them all, at least 2 or 3. You got to pay 2 out of 3. Rick says, Brody Brazil has a video up about Cooch coming out soon. Stealing my topics, is that what you're saying? Rick Shout says could be till 2028 when we hear about the Rays sale. I'll bet against that. I will wager with Rick on that one. No, he may be right. Who knows? Stuart Sternberg might be able to stick it out that long, but without revenue sharing money, which MLB says they're going to take away, he's going to stick around for 3 more years. Yeah, I don't see that. And I think this.
Now, somebody asked me on.
Go ahead.
Somebody asked me on social media the other day if what Stu's doing with the Rays is as bad as what little Danny Snyder did with the Redskin Commandos, and I said, no, it's not even close because there were sexual improprieties accused over in Washington, right? We don't have that in Tampa.
Yeah, no,
we just have somebody. No, we just have a selfish, greedy owner whose best interest is in his pockets and not with the city or his team. Right. And the fans are suffering because of it. To our knowledge, I mean, to mine, I don't know, you may know something different. He's not, well, he is in a way, but not directly stealing money from Major League Baseball like Daniel Snyder was.
I would say stealing.
Well, but I mean, like literally out of the drawer, out of the till. Like when Dan Snyder was
go read that lawsuit, and you can put, you put your own thoughts to it. You ask his partners if he was stealing money from them. Well, you'd have to go.
All right. I mean, fair enough.
They sued him. They sued him for fiduciary.
So basically, we have exactly what happened in Washington without the sexual accusations, right?
I don't want to. No, absolutely not. No one's ever said anything like that about Stu. Not even me. No. It's all financial, and it's all the way he runs. It's not even personal. It's all the way he runs the team. To me, and his lack of his lack of care for the Tampa Bay area. Decisions are never made with the community in mind, right? Or we wouldn't still be at this ridiculous situation that we're in. And if he was at all thinking about the community, he would sell the team, let somebody else take over and get the stadium done. He'd walk away with his $2 billion profit and let the city of St. Petersburg move on and develop that site, and let Tampa move on with their development, because the stadium is a kind of a linchpin to a lot of different development, and where it goes is important. It's extremely important. And so, as we've said many, many times on this show, you're holding up the development in Tampa, millions and millions of dollars, perhaps billions of dollars of development there. The same in St. Pete, which brings with it millions and millions of dollars in jobs, great jobs, good construction jobs, all those things, a lot of velocity of cash that helps the community move on, helps the gas plant district folks get long deserved restitution. All these good things that we wanted to happen will happen, but as long as he sits there entrenched and holds on to this team till he gets every last dollar he can get out of it, that's not in the best interest of Tampa, St. Pete, Major League Baseball, nobody. And at some point, Major League Baseball has got to force a sale or force something to happen, because there's so much that's being held up. 20 to 20. If he's still the owner in 2028,
we've got issues.
We got major issues, and we'll have, there's just no way. There's just no, in my opinion. But Rick may be right. I don't know. He may know something I don't know. I just can't see it happening with all that Major League Baseball has said and done, and not only publicly but privately, what they've said and what they're doing. You can't see it. John Hill says, JP, when Tim wants to talk, use the line, "Suck it up, Buttercup." Okay. I don't listen, especially today, Tim. Take over the show. Speaking of which,
it's not going to be a takeover.
AB has a warrant out for his arrest. Not only just a warrant, it's attempted murder.
Attempted murder. You know what this stems from, right?
Yeah, the altercation after the fight, when there were gunshots. Little did we know, according to police, and this is their version, he stole a gun from a security guard and tried to shoot 2 people, or fired a couple of shots and tried to kill somebody, and then got in his van or scurried away.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not good. There's a lot of witnesses to it. If what the police say is true, AB's going to jail for a long, long time.
And what's interesting about this is the night that it happened, because I remember when this happened, I wrote a story about it for the Steelers, and like the police interviewed everybody, and they let him go. Like they couldn't get any real evidence of what had actually happened that night. It was like 2 a.m. So, who knows, but it's taken them this long to gather enough evidence to issue the warrant. And that was several weeks ago that happened, that occurred. So,
I mean, there multiple signs that this was not going to end well.
Yeah.
Not going to end well. And let's just hope, I've said this a lot. Let's just hope that AB doesn't take other people down with him. And because he's done a lot of stupid stuff that could have killed a lot of people along the way.
And not always just himself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a menace. That's all there is to it. He's a menace. And Gavin Newsom's not a fan either. If he does go to jail, can he still tweet?
Please just let him tweet.
His phone. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
Okay. If you missed it, just Google it. I don't want to spread any. I don't want to get sued here.
You'll thank us later.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see some of these comments here. Lavilla thinks short-term drop extension, probably 3 to 5 years. That's not what Major League Baseball wants. I think this is all posturing to get top dollar for the sale. He's threatening, no, I'm going to stay here. And if you don't give me my $3 billion, then I'm going to stay here. We'll do a short extension at the Trop and blah, 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 blah. It's not, I don't see it happening, but it could be. And a stadium in 2035? No.
Hey, B changed his profile picture. He's a cat now.
Oh, yeah. That was last week.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a pussy cat. Daniel said, very sad to hear about the passing of legendary Beach Boys founder Brian Wilson. Truly a musical genius. R.I.P. Yes, indeed.
You know what? Let me say this real quick about Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Everybody knows I'm a musical savant. Bass player extraordinaire.
Yeah. Your brain.
I never got it. I never got the Beach Boys. I recognize him just because of what other people in the industry, how they talk about him. And I get it. But that album, Pet Sounds, that everybody, I never got it, man. I never got Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys.
I'm with you.
But you know what? I mean, obviously it's sad that he passed.
When you create a whole genre of music, beach music,
sure. Yeah.
I guess you get, you're a musical icon. You're you're part of the legacy of music, that whole thing. Yeah, I get it. But I'm never going to my Spotify playlist and go, ooh, let me hear some Beach Boys. That's never going to happen.
You know what? If Good Vibrations comes on the radio and I'm cruising down the highway in the middle of summer with the windows down, I will sing along. I mean, there's some good tunes. I just never really got it. Now, to back that up, I will also say I never really got the Beatles.
Me neither. I'm with you, bro.
Never really.
I know. Once again, the harmonies, quote, rock and roll, the British invasion, all that stuff. A few good songs, but
sure.
The cult following and for generations and generations.
I was a Stones guy.
I didn't get it.
Love the Rolling Stones.
Well, but then again, I spent most of my adult life worshiping Bruce Springsteen, and now look at me. The ultimate remorse. Christopher Cole said Pirates owner is just as bad as Stu. Can't get over that one, can you? Yeah, I know. We got some bad owners in baseball. We got some really, really bad owners in baseball.
Do they all start off that way?
At least he has a real stadium. That's right, Christopher. At least he does have that Pittsburgh stadium's nice.
So do they all, bad owners in baseball, do they all start that way? Or do they eventually, after 5 years of ownership,
once again, this is all Stu Sternberg's fault.
Because he set the pattern for everybody?
Yes. No, seriously. At some point, they're just like, why don't I just do what Stu's doing? I'll just, I'll try to win with young players. Keep the payroll low. I get my revenue sharing money. I get my central fund money. I can make $200 million a year. Even if nobody shows up at the park, what do I care? I'll just, bank the money. I can't compete with the Dodgers and the Mets in terms of these payrolls. So, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but no, for real. Like what Sternberg's going to do it. Why shouldn't I? It was stupid. Like the Mets are spending $400 million. I can't do that. I can't compete with that. So I might as well just try to win with young players, and I'll have probably have the same results as I know. Might I be win 10 more games if I spent $130 million? Yeah, but I'm still going to finish behind the Mets. All these big spending clubs. This is a problem for baseball, and it's coming to a head. Right? It's coming to a head. They need a salary cap. They need a salary floor so that all teams can compete. Because when Pittsburgh and Colorado and some of these other markets, they're going to lose interest. Miami, right. They're just going to lose interest. And that's bad for baseball. That's really bad for baseball. You invigorate the sport with a salary cap and a salary floor, at least get them close within, $50, $100 million of what they're spending. Yeah. And, that's, I think that's good. But the problem is you got to get the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets and all these big market teams to agree to that. Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah, but just because you're a big market team and you can spend a lot of money doesn't always make you good. Like, you got to spend it in the right places, and I feel like those teams are the ones that are doing that. Look at the Cubs and the White Sox. They're in freaking Chicago, big market, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah. So I think baseball's got real issues. And, to B's point here, fake news that these sports teams go up in value $200 million every quarter. They're basically promoted like penny stocks.
Yeah.
Well, they're worth what people are willing to pay for them. And, with the inequality now, gap in earnings and money, you have all these new billionaires that are, whatever it's cryptocurrency or stealing from the government or whatever it is that you're doing. You've got all these billionaires and they're irrelevant until they buy a sports team. So they can buy celebrity by buying a sports team. So most of it's an ego purchase. Now I'm a celebrity. I'm a sports owner. And now I can buy celebrity with that. So I think they're worth more because they're worth what people are willing to pay more. From a balance sheet standpoint, are they making money? All baseball teams? Well, if you do it the way Stu does, yeah, you're going to make money and make lots of money. But if you're, Cohen with the Mets, you don't care. You don't care if you lose a couple $100 million on your team. It's a write-off anyway. So I'm going to go, ridiculously spend $750 million on Juan Soto, who's a two-tool player, and that screws up the market for everybody else. So yeah, baseball's in a weird spot. It's in a really weird spot. Now, what are the teams worth? They're worth what people are willing to pay. And for Stu Sternberg, he's just going to sit there as long as he can and keep, jacking up the price, even though it's, what is it worth? Well, according to Forbes, it's worth $1.25 billion. According to Sport Track, it's worth 1.4. Stu won't even take 1.8. He's turned that down. So, where are we at? What's it worth?
Well, and keep in mind too, we say that that it's worth whatever people will pay for it, but there's a caveat to that because it's worth whatever people can get financing for on it. People don't just write a check for a baseball team; they go get financing for but they don't. They don't want to risk their own money. Very rarely do they do that. They go out and they finance it from other investors and from other people. And at some point, smart people with their money will say, I'm not going to put my money into something. You're paying twice as much as something's worth.
Well, I think they have to. I think the managing partner, general partner has to pony up at least 30%.
They do. No, they do. Yeah.
That's a significant chunk. That's a significant check to write.
Absolutely. So, but I'm just saying you can't just demand $2.5 billion for a team that's only worth 1.2. And Stu sometimes, I think he's out of his mind when he expects to get more than what probably reasonable people are willing to pay.
Christopher Cole says the Cubs are in first place and they still haven't extended Tucker and PCA. Well, are they gonna? Wouldn't it be great if there were discussions going on between the possible future owners of the Rays and Kyle Tucker's management at Pelican Golf Course? Wouldn't that be great?
Hey, don't sign. Don't sign. Give us a minute.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome? We're building a new stadium. You'll be the anchor when we move in, sign you to a 6-year deal.
Come home.
Brand new stadium right where you live. That'd be interesting.
We'll throw in a Cadillac.
Only that were happening. Maybe it is.
Do we know it's not?
Maybe it is. Maybe we know.
We got to take a break one of these times, you know.
All right, let's take a break. Well, if you'd stop talking, for God's sakes, if I could get a word in edgewise.
That's how it is, man.
Christ. All right, we are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you have any legal trouble this weekend on the streets, wherever you are, which you might, JeevesLawGroup.com will give you a free legal consultation. So go to the website, contact them through the website, call them, email them, and say, I heard it on the JP show. We heard Scott on the JP show. We love him, and he's a great attorney. Their attorneys here will look after you in a very aggressive way. Insurance companies don't like the Jeeves Law Group at all because they don't just settle at the drop of a hat. JeevesLawGroup.com and OnSiteConstructionFL.com. If you're looking to restore your home, add on to your home, build from scratch, they are the folks. OnSiteConstructionFL.com. They do a great job. Jason Fawcett was just in the studio the other day, and he reminded us, get in line, folks. Get at that free consultation with him. So when the hurricane comes through, you already know a contractor. You're already in the queue, as they say. And if you need work done, they'll be able to get to you as soon as they possibly can because you're on the list. So do that at OnSiteConstructionFL.com. Back at 3. Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park. So free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Friday as we roll on. Get that light for me, will you there? Because we have to get some beautiful light on my ugly face. Thank you very much, Patrick. We had to close the shades. It's too bright outside tonight.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, there we go.
Florida sun.
Yeah. Welcome back, you guys. Appreciate you jumping in here. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. June, the birthstones are amethyst and pearl and moonsite. It's my favorite. I like moonsite. Moonsite's beautiful. They got some great gems over there, great pieces with those birthstones in it. You can go and shop online, 15% off all those birthstones there in June, goldendiamond.com. And of course, if you're looking for that great ring, you got to buy it at the Gold and Diamond Source. Great folks over there. They have the best staff. You'll walk in, you'll say, here's my budget. Or, can I get some financing? Yes, you can. 0% for 5 years. You can get a $5,000 ring, a beautiful, big old beautiful ring. For $5,000 cost you $83 a month, no interest for 5 years. That's a great, great deal. And the best deal is you can bring it back and get full value if you want to upgrade. And they recently had last month the double upgrade up to $5,000. So if you bought a diamond for $2,500, they will double that to $5,000 in value to bring back and shop. So you're always getting great value with the Gold and Diamond Source. They've been there for over 40 years and they have that huge showroom there, great buying power. That's why you get the best prices. It's goldanddiamond.com. Of course, it's a Gold and Diamond Source. It's about a 15, 20-minute ride just over the bridge if you're in Tampa to go the Gold and Diamond Source. All right, let's do a little Bucs, shall we? OTA, by the way, Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 11:30, but I wanted to get some of the interviews in that we did over yesterday.
By the way, thoughts on, real quick, Chris Godwin's name change announcement yesterday.
That's pretty cool.
We didn't get into that last night, but
yeah. In fact, he's honoring his dad, and he's just become a dad. It's one of the things that I don't think we talk about enough, just to be quite honest. The nuclear family, to me, is the reason why this country has grown and had its values
and flourished,
established. I think we're at our best when we have a nuclear family, and we're at our best when that family can decide whether they're going to have one breadwinner or two, and whichever you want to do is fine. I personally believe having someone at home to raise children is a pretty damn good idea. But that's just not a reality anymore. Yep. And a lot of it goes to dads who aren't, they have kids and they don't want to live up to their responsibilities. So when you have a dad like Chris Godwin did, and who he just recently lost, you want to celebrate him and celebrate the great things he did. Because I'm gonna tell you what, you look at some of these great athletes, and a lot of them had great dads, and the ones that didn't, I salute even more, because it's hard to do it on your own. It's hard to do it without parental support. It really, really is. Because especially in this day and age, you got to have somebody drive you to your practices, your tournaments, your all these different things that you got to go to. It's, in my experience, the kids that had that support, that parental support, made it. And the ones that didn't probably didn't. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many great athletes I've seen and covered in high school over the years. You see them, you show up and you watch them, you got this sophomore running back that nobody can stop. You show up at, the next year when he's supposed to be a junior, and like, yo, coach, where'd, so-and-so go? He goes, I went to the house this summer and they were gone. He didn't have a dad. The family he was being, raised by his grandma. It's like, whatever happened to that kid? Probably got involved in the streets and never seen from again. Yeah. Whereas you have that nuclear family, you have a dad like Chris Godwin's dad, then you have a better situation, obviously, where you're going to be able to maximize your talent. So yeah, whenever we can celebrate dads that are staying in the home and taking care of their kids and bringing them up the right way. Hell yeah. We need more of that. And by the way, I commend the NFL on that. Part of their social justice program and the money that the owners gave to the Players Association, they've used on promoting fatherhood and promoting being there for kids. And I think that's a tremendous expenditure, especially compared to some other expenditures we've seen for some of this money. So, yeah, I don't think there's a better way to spend it. Encouraging young men to be great fathers and carry on the legacy, because that's how we carry on our culture and our society that brings people up that value life, value hard work, value respecting authority, all those values that a good father and a good mom should be instilling in their kids. And a mom can't be a good mom, if she's working 3 jobs just to put food on the table for the kids. And they can't be there for the kids as much as she might want to. She has to do these other things. So, yeah, the more we celebrate the nuclear family, the better it is. And Chris Godwin had one hell of a dad. So I think it's great for him to celebrate him.
Yeah, I was perusing the X post that the Bucs put out with Godwin's statement, which was just almost tear jerking, and
you want to put that up?
The things I can get it. Yeah. Just the things that he said about his dad and stuff. And then underneath that was a comment from a guy. I think he was in Dallas here, where he says, I met Chris's dad at a hotel here in Dallas when the Bucs were here a couple of years ago to play the Cowboys, and he met him in the hotel bar. He had a Godwin jersey on and everything, and he posted the picture that he took with him. And he goes, he gave me his phone number and we kept in touch this entire time.
How about
talked
that?
Football, and just, he was the sweetest guy, other than my own father. He said he's the sweetest guy that I've ever met, and so stuff like that, you love to hear those kind of stories, just about that. And it just kind of made me curious why he didn't already have Junior on why he wasn't doing that already.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason. And I know not all juniors use Junior on their name from childhood and on. I get it.
Maybe his dad didn't want him to.
Yeah, it's very possible.
So maybe he didn't want him to, necessarily, say, because I guess in some ways when you name a junior, it's like, well, that's my son. I don't know. It can be for some people,
right?
A self-aggrandizement, and maybe he didn't want that. Like, son, you forge your own name,
right?
Carry on the family name, but you forge your own name. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, and he waited
sounds
until
like a pretty selfless man in that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's a very good logical explanation. And it's maybe his dad didn't go around using Senior, so right. Maybe he was just like, hey, you know what, you're Rod Christopher Godwin and I'm Rod Christopher Godwin. And he waited until his dad was gone to throw that out there and to do that. And, that, kudos to him, number one, for having that relationship with his dad. And,
awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. I had a great relationship with my dad, and I feel for people who don't have that. And I've tried to turn that around with my up-tillion children that I have, to have close relationships with all of them. But, I don't know if we'll be able to read all of this, but it's
yeah, why not?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I have it blown up on the other screen here. As a kid, I enjoyed an amazing relationship with my dad, Rod Christopher Godwin Sr. From youth football through high school. I always knew that he was there because I would hear him yelling in support of his son. He instilled in me early that I could achieve anything I wanted if I worked hard enough and treated people with respect. I always appreciated and valued the immeasurable impact he had on my life, and I made sure to let him know that every day, not just on Father's Day.
Right.
I lost my pops in January of 2024, and Father's Day last year was a time of reflection and introspection. This year, Father's Day represents a full circle moment in my life journey as I get to celebrate being a first-time dad with my son, Ace. Fatherhood has already been an unbelievable experience and has changed me in so many ways. I can only hope that Ace feels the same way about me as I did about my dad. As a professional athlete, you're always recognized for the name on the front of your jersey, but I also play for the name that's printed on the back. That's why I've chosen to add Junior to my name to honor the man who gave so unselfishly of himself to others and helped mold me into who I am today. Love you, Pops. Chris Godwin Jr.
God, that gets me a little verklempt. I'm not going to lie.
A little verklempt.
Yeah, that is, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. and having a dad like that is awesome. And when you lose them, you know, a friend who just lost his dad, Rick Ballou, comes on the show, Jaguars reporter, you know, and he had, you know, told some great stories. And I was like, man, you're blessed. You're blessed to have a dad like that. You really, really are, you know, because a lot of us didn't, you know, my dad wasn't around when I was a kid for the most part, you know, you know, very tumultuous relationship with my mom. And so I didn't have that advantage of that quote nuclear family. Right. You know, I did as a youngster till about age 10. But even when they were together, that wasn't so good either. But there's issues in families and we had them. So to have a dad like that or a mom like that is an awesome, awesome blessing. Cause you know, I remember this is a true story. My dad, had to basically sneak into town to watch me play a high school football game. He had to move over. Well, he chose to move overseas to avoid certain things.
Sure.
He didn't want to pay or whatever, you know, and that he felt were unfair. And, you know, he had to sneak back into town. You know, I had to contact my high school coach and say, hey, you know, I'm coming into town. Here's the reason, blah, blah, blah. And I had no idea. I had no idea he was coming into town. And
it's like when you did 30 for 30 on that.
Yeah. And I wasn't, and I was in and out of the lineup as a starter, but for some reason I was starting that game. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take it. And so I started that game and we didn't win. We got our ass kicked by a really good team. So the story's not that great, but
he got to see you play.
But it was weird because, like, after the game, we're sitting there by the bus, and, you know, I look up and I'm like, God, that looks like my dad standing over there.
Wow.
And I was like, that's my dad. I hadn't seen him in probably 7 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He was living in Indonesia and then Taiwan, so I hadn't seen him in like 6 or 7 years. And it was dark. So I just kept staring at him like, that my dad? You know, coach was talking, so everybody's supposed to be quiet and all that. And so when coach got done talking, you know, we all brought it up. I walked over and I was like, Dad? He's like, hey, son.
Wow.
Give me a big hug. Yeah.
That's quite a story.
Yeah. It's pretty, almost surreal.
I got robbed the time with my dad. My dad passed away when I was 25. But you know, all the formative years. My mom passed away when I was 17. My dad passed, and one day apart, by the way. One day at 7 years and one day apart on the calendar, August 28th and August 29th.
Wow.
But you know, through the formative years, you know, my young teenage years and my sports developing years, you know, he was certainly there. And he actually passed away. He was living in Denver, Colorado. He passed away one Saturday when we were on the phone together. I was here in Dallas. He was in Denver, Colorado. We used to get on the phone together to watch Aggies games. And we were watching A&M. I think it was a TCU really game. Cool. But he like died while I was on the phone with him.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I didn't know. I just thought we lost our connection or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I hung up. And later that night, his wife, my stepmom, had called. And they had just gotten married. She had called me and said, yeah, your dad passed away this afternoon sitting in his chair. He must have been on the phone with somebody. And I was like, oh,
that was me.
That was me because the receiver was, you know, laying on the
he
ground.
passed away when you guys were doing your favorite thing, watching Aggie games together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But
that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, Father's Day is still, you know, that was 1995, so Father's Day is still
it's one of the reasons I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow to go to the airport to fly to San Antonio to see my dad this weekend. Nice. He'll be 94 this August.
Wow.
So, you know, he probably doesn't have a whole lot of Father's Days left. So
yeah, see, my dad would have been 95 in September.
Wow.
So yeah. My parents were 40 when I was born, JP.
Yeah.
I wasn't a planned child.
That explains a lot.
My mom had her tubes tied in 1968.
Oh, God.
Okay, I came along in 71.
We're just throwing it all out there today, aren't we? Here, I'm not trying to one up you, but my mom told me a story. This is almost laughable. My mom had 7 miscarriages before me.
Yep, my mom had 3. So you win that one.
Miscarriages. I'm like, no, I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that she smoked 3 packs a day and had about 6 martinis. Who knows?
You
Who
were
knows?
determined,
So you want to talk about a miracle. You're looking at it, bud. You're looking at an absolute miracle. So yeah, you never know. You never know where it's going to go. But I'm blessed with 2 children, and I hope I've been a good dad to them. And we have a really good relationship. A great relationship with both my children. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to see my dad. One more Father's Day. I'll take it. All right. Speaking of great dads, this is Mike Evans. I'm going to do a little Mike Evans here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the whole interview. We had a little technical issue. And I didn't realize this. Mike is coaching 2 of his daughters in AAU flag football.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. So he's out there coaching his kids, being a professional athlete and coaching his 2 teams, not just 1, but 2 teams in flag football. And also said that he would love to play in the Olympics in flag football.
Wow.
So now he's coaching it, and that and maybe one of his daughters will play in the Olympics one day.
Can we just not let him do that though?
Well, it'll be 2028. It's like I think you're going to have to be retired. I don't think active NFL players are going to be able to play in the game.
I hope not.
But maybe they will. Well, we'll see. I think the owners, voted to allow it, but I think there's going to be some strict contingencies to it. So anyway, Mike chatted with the media a little bit. Here's a bit of what he had to say yesterday. Hopefully. What's going on, Mike?
Like Rashad White was saying the other day, this team isn't just hungry, it's starving after the way last season ended, which ended prematurely for you guys. What is the mindset for you heading into this season and trying to pursue another Super Bowl?
Same mindset. Put in the work, get what you put in. So we're putting in a lot of work that the whole team has, and we're going to enjoy this break, come back ready to go.
Mike, what have you been doing?
He's so smooth.
Yeah.
I do the same shit every year. Work out really hard, hang with my family, play video games.
He hates doing this.
Normal, same thing.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good.
And Tez, your new rookies in the wide receiver.
I know I say it a lot, but this might be the best receiving room I've been a part of. I say it every year, but we always get great players come in. So that's been very fortunate for me in my career to be around a lot of great young players, and they've added to the room tremendously. They're already very polished already. Mecca's really strong hands, super smart, Tez, speed, quickness.
Your thoughts specifically on Emeka once he's got the ball in his hands? What he's able to do, making people Tez?
He looks like a running back, but he catches like Chris Godwin. He's very polished, very well-rounded player.
What does that do for you? I mean, you've obviously.
Yeah, and he went on to say about Emeka that his hands are like Godwin's. They're strong hands like Godwin's. We talked a little bit about this on last night's show, and that's a hell of obviously a compliment, because I think Chris Godwin has the best combat hands in the game. When that ball's around him, he's coming down with it, and that's an incredible skill to have. That may sound kind of basic, but with the physicality of receivers and defensive backs, I mean, you have to shield the defender in a certain way that you can, contort your body where your hands are going to be free to accept the ball, and then you got to snatch it and pull it away. And Ibuka does that. He's a natural pass catcher. They're strong hands, but they're not hard hands. It's like it's snatch and go. And those guys they're rare. He's such a polished receiver, and watching him in OTAs, it just jumps off the page at you. It just does. And he said a lot of those same things about Ibuka, and coming from Mike, that's pretty damn cool. So the best receiving room in the that he's ever had, when he had Antonio Brown in there, attempted murder.
Wow.
Maybe that's why this room's better, because
the views expressed by JP Peterson may not necessarily reflect those of FanStream Sports.
Allegedly. Yes. But yeah, good stuff. Hey, while we're on the subject, Daniel Rivera chiming in. Gentlemen, I was privileged enough to meet Godwin's dad back in 2023 on a flight back from Wilmington. And I can tell you, you could not meet a nicer guy than Godwin Sr. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Wait. John Hill says, my mother was 43 and dad was 50 when I was born. Lived with my mother from junior high on. The only event that my dad came to was my high school graduation. Yeah. It's when you got a good one, it's awesome. And Mike, Mike obviously came from a tragically broken home. And so he his importance and how he has led the way as a father is, I think, incredible. He is an incredible role model in that way, as is Todd Bowles, as is, there's so many of these guys on this team that are great role models and really accepting and embracing the role of fatherhood, which is rare these days. Most young kids these days, they want no part of having kids.
Yeah.
It's like, because they're and I'll say this, when you're making a couple million a year, it's probably a lot easier to be a dad because kids are expensive. They're really, really expensive. And I understand, it's going to be a hard choice for a lot of the younger kids. Buying a house is hard. Putting a roof over their head, feeding them, not to mention the, $500 an hour pitching coach that you have to hire.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
You don't have to, but many of them do. All right, Bucky Irving chatted with us as well, and we asked him about his offseason and not having to go through all the combine stuff, and some other quick questions here from Bucky Irving.
My goal is to go out there on that grass and help my team win football games. As long as we win, I'm happy.
Bucky, have you noticed this team a little bit more confident, at least on the defensive side, and these team drills?
I think it's been like that since I got here, man. Just a competitive team, man. Like we want to help each other.
A lot of chatter out there this week.
I'm the type of teams that go far, but not being quiet out there, having fun with it. We all know it's hot, you get tired, but just being able to have fun out there with it and still think about it as a kid's game is a blessing.
So was it confusing today having all the linebackers and edge rushers switching their numbers on you?
Nah, because I already know the guys and I know their face, so I'm familiar with them, so the numbers ain't trick me at all.
You just talked to Mike just before you. Obviously different position, but what is it like sharing a locker room with a guy that every year it seems like he's got a new record that he's, close to catching? Obviously this year he's got the potential to break Jerry Rice's record for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. What's it like being out there alongside a guy like that every single day, knowing what's in front of him?
When I first got here, Mike was one of the first to just come up to me and say what's up. But you never know how them guys really are because you're on the outside looking in. So when you actually get to be around them guys and see how humble they are and see that the things that he did for this league and this organization, just being able to see how humble he is every day. You never see him get too high, you never see him get too low, but just being able to watch him and see how he grow each and every day, it's a blessing to be around some that I could probably tell my family or kids one day that I played with one of the greats to ever do it.
Thanks, Bucky.
That's
cool.
Bucky Irving. That's
Bucky.
Great respect there. Great respect. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll hear a little bit more from Bucky. Anthony Walker talked as well, one of the experienced veteran linebackers that came. He has some really cool stuff to say, very Hassan Reddick-like as well. I think he's going to be a great addition. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Italiano Insurance. It's a great time to make sure you are properly insured, before the hurricane season really gets rolling, because there's a 30-day wait period for flood insurance and hurricane and the wind and all that insurance. Just call them and let them give them all your information. They'll be able to shop your insurance around, find out if they can get you a better deal, and make sure that you are properly insured, because that's when things happen like we had the last couple of years, insurance companies will look for every way to not pay. So make sure you are buttoned up in every way and you have the coverage that you need. ItalianoInsurance.com will help you with that. Back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. You know, we told you about the amazing Diamond Savings Account where your diamond never loses its value. Well, now, through the end of May, the Gold and Diamond Source will double your trade-in value up to $2,500. Just bring in your jewelry to trade, and your $2,500 piece turns into $5,000. It's time to upgrade that ring, earrings, whatever. We have gemologists on site to make the deal. Double your trade value up to $2,500. Gets you $5,000 to spend. So go through your jewelry box and get that stuff you never wear and get something new and stylish that you're going to love. Great experience, and we will double your trade-in now till the end of May. We can finance you as well. No interest for 5 years. Only at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at goldendiamond.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Hey, Tampa Bay, it's time to get your AC unit ready for summer. And here at Third Generation Plumbing and Mechanical, we recommend getting ahead of the game, keeping your family cool before the hot summer months with one of our maintenance agreements in the hopes of avoiding the dreaded emergency service call. Our maintenance agreements include, we'll test the electrical components, check and tighten high and low voltage wire connections. We'll check the refrigerant for manufacturer's performance levels, test thermostats, calibrate if needed, clean the evaporator coil and condenser coil, and clear and treat the drain line and drain pans. Just call us at 813-961-8024 for the special rates, and a human will actually answer. 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Friday as we wrap up Bucs OTAs. The boys will be off for about 6 weeks, and then it is training camp time. And big thanks to all of our sponsors, the folks at Riveters last night. We were hanging out there, had some of their awesome wings. Absolutely fantastic. Great place to watch a hockey game with all the different TVs that they have up there. So head on over there if you're heading out for the weekend. Stop at the Great Happy Hour, 3 to 7 o'clock, $3 domestics, $5 wells. Try some of the great food. If you're looking for a nice, wonderful, inexpensive meal in a great atmosphere, Riveters is the place to go. Watch all the sports as well. So tell them JP sent you. Take a picture of the great food and put it up on X, and we'll retweet it too.
Yeah, post it and tag us for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back to some of the stuff. Todd Bowles was only available for a little bit yesterday, but one of the questions I wanted to ask him was about Kyle Trask. So let me join this mid-interview, and we'll see where it's at. And thought his answer was really interesting. So here we go. Todd Bowles from yesterday.
He should be fine by training camp.
How confident are you in Kyle Trask? My question about how confident are you in Kyle in training camp and preseason? That would make you more confident.
Oh, we got a lot of confidence in Kyle. He just needs playing time. You know, it's hard to play him when you got two bona fide starters ahead of him since he's been here. So just the more time he gets, the more confidence he gets. So preseason will be big for him, getting the reps down, and we take a good look at him there. But he's been fine so far.
What's your message?
Is that a huge vote of confidence for Kyle Trask? How would you describe that?
Yeah, it's a pretty generic answer. I mean, I don't know, man. So he got there in Brady's second year, the year after the Super Bowl, right? Is when they got him. So he's played for 2 years behind Brady and now 2 years behind Baker, right?
Yeah.
So
as one of our
commenters
commenters mentioned yesterday, with Dave Canales moving on, Liam Cohen moving on, John Spytek moving on, you have a lot of people that had, needed backup quarterbacks, or if they thought Kyle Trask was a really, really good player, might have had some interest in him. And Really did. I don't want to trash Trask because I've been a pretty big supporter of him. It's like last preseason and then the practices that we've seen, he just hasn't really impressed me. Yesterday, when he had an opportunity to do some stuff, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Just in open guys in critical red zone situations. Yeah, these are times you really should shine. I know it's, but as Todd said, he hasn't had a chance to play. So here's your chance. Make some throws in practice.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, like you said, he hasn't played. He hasn't had a chance to play. He played behind Brady, then he played behind Baker. Right. But had he shown, I think, enough stuff in his first 2 years behind Brady, like I know Brady didn't really get hurt there in Tampa, but if he showed enough in practice those 2 years, Jason Light might not have been sweating who the next quarterback was going to be so much in 2023 when they went out and got Baker. And I'm not saying they wouldn't have gone out to get somebody, right? But by now, through 4 seasons, if you can't make those throws in practice, then you're not going to get playing time in the regular season because there is zero confidence that you can run this offense.
Yeah, now he made some great throws, some of them, but not enough.
Right.
Not enough. And there were, 2 interceptions on Tuesday, if I'm recalling correctly. And even Bowles said on that day, I asked him about it. He goes, he's got to cut down on his turnovers.
Yeah.
You can't have backup quarterbacks turning the ball over. You got to, you're at least you want to have them come in and manage the game and try to win games. I just, I don't know. Again, as you said yesterday, you got a Super Bowl roster. And if Baker were to go down for 4 to 6 weeks, would the season be lost? Because you don't have a guy that's done it before. I'm not talking about going out and spending draft picks to bring in a starter level guy. I'm talking about a guy, like a Cooper Rush. We talked about him, a backup quarterback that's played in this league that has done it before. Joe Flacco that's done it before and, may or may not be available. There's some that are about. But listen, Jason Light could have gone out and got a guy this offseason. They decided to re-sign Trask.
Right.
So, I mean, I just think it's a bit of a.
But I forgot who made the point yesterday on last night's show. It's interesting that Jacksonville, that Carolina, and that the Raiders, with ties to Tampa and Kyle Trask, with 2 former coordinators and an assistant GM, never made a play for Trask when he was in his contract year this offseason. That's a little bit telling too. And all 3 of those teams needed quarterback help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I forgot who made that point on the comments last night, but
it's a good one.
But it was a good one. That was a good one.
All right, here's a little bit more Bucky Irving. I think a couple of my questions here about how his body's feeling after first year as a pro and getting some chance to rest.
Like I said, just going back to what he said, just being able to have some time off and not really doing too much, but when it's time to ramp it back up, it's time to go. Like going back off this phase, like it's time to ramp it back up because we know we got camp coming up. I want to stay able to be out in the heat, train. So when I get back to camp, I'll be ready.
What's it been like watching your buddy Tez Johnson, make, last couple of weeks, he's made a couple plays on some deep balls. What's it been like watching his training?
I mean, it's been a blessing, man. He used to always call me, like after a game or something, and be like, he want to play for the Buccaneers. And I'd be like, man, you got a whole season to focus on, man. Just focus on that. And I mean, the man above made it happen for him, and his dream came true.
You have an entire starting offensive line coming back this season. That doesn't happen all the time. So what does that do for this offense for you in the running game?
I mean, we got all them guys are returning, but just being able to have trust in them guys, like you always hear when I come up here and say, I don't talk about myself, I talk about the old line, because without them guys, none of them things are possible. So just being able to give credit to them guys every chance that I get, I'm gonna do that.
You have a friendly,
smart
banter and rivalry with Tez. What's that like? I mean, he's constantly talking about you, like away from the mic. Like,
I mean, it's always gonna be competitive with your best friend. I mean, just being able to just keep him on his toes, not letting him get satisfied, just being able to know, like when I got here, having to figure it out on my own, but not too much, just being here for him, just so he can get his own experience on how things are gonna go for him.
who's faster?
I'm faster.
Who's faster? Now, Tez claims he's faster.
How helpful it is that Josh Guzard's offense has some new stuff that they can implement, a lot of the terminology.
Asking about the new OC, Josh Guzard.
What have you saw from him as an offensive coordinator, and how nice is it that you can just kind of lock in and get the familiar stuff and then learn from this?
I mean, we all know Grizz has stepped up to be our new offensive coordinator, but the craziest thing about it, last year I was pretty close with Grizz because, like, I'd be wanting him to coach me up on different things that like screens and things like that. And he always had an answer for me, like, yeah, but we need you to do this and that. We all know he's a smart guy, so just being able to know that he coming in and got a high road to do it, just being able to follow his lead and knowing that he will put us in the right position and just going out there and executing at a high level for him.
Yeah, you can tell that all these players have a lot of good things to say about Josh Grizzard. They have a lot of confidence in him. So I think that's why the Bucs made the decision they did. They could have gone out and got any number of guys, OCs that have had experience calling plays in this league. There were a ton of guys that were interested in this job, but they decided to go with who they thought was the best guy in the building to keep that continuity going. And I think the players, to a man, have been, and it's not just lip service. You could tell, like Bucky said last year, I was leaning on Grizzard last year for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. All right, here's a little bit of, let me see here what we got from Anthony Walker, who played with Baker, by the way, in Cleveland. So they've known each other for a long time. So he's got a nice veteran vibe to him as well. He's going to be backing up Servassier Voss, probably playing on a lot of teams, but he may be getting in the rotation. He's a really good player and a very good coverage linebacker, which is something that the Bucs have obviously struggled with. So let's listen to a little bit of his.
Yeah, that's a real savvy route runner right there. He
talking about Cade Otton.
Yeah, he got me a few times this offseason, so I'm definitely I got to get in my bag a little bit. But no, man, that tight end room is special as well. Our whole offense, man, they put you in a lot of compromising positions, where you gotta play the run, play the pass, and they make it all look the same. And that's when you can do that, that's an elite offense. And again, like I said, just helping me get my eyes, in the right spot. My confidence on the field, and that's going to make us better as a defense. All right, thank you.
Okay, look. If he can't cover Cade Otton in the offseason, we're going to have problems in the regular season. I'm just telling you.
Wait a minute. Cade Otton's a pretty damn good tight end. Come on, dog.
Pretty damn good tight end isn't what you're going to be playing against. You got much better tight ends in the NFL right now than Cade Otton. Nothing against Cade Otton.
He's a savvy route runner.
But if he can't keep up with Cade Otton in
he's had a couple
right
of times.
Now,
all right.
I'm just saying he needs to work a little bit.
Here's AWOC, as they call him, talking about the linebacker room with Servassier Dennis, Levante David, and Deion Jones.
That's the standard that we're trying to set, and we got to earn that every day. That's not a one-time thing. The linebacker, on every team, the linebacker room is the quarterback of the defense. So that's our standard every day. We got to be that group. We got to lead this team. Obviously, we got guys everywhere on this team that make plays and all that, but we got to be the best group on the field for us to get to where we want to be.
Do you feel a lot of competition with Deion Jones, given that he was your teammate previously? You guys had that.
Asking about
it's competition with everybody. That's the nature of the business. You get to a team where you have Super Bowl aspirations, and you go into an elite room. I got competition with Levante, Servassier, to the rookies, Nick, John, Antonio Greer, all those guys. Man, we're gonna push each other, and the best player's gonna play. We understand that, and as long as we put the best players on the field, and the guys, earn it and everything like that. That's all you can ask for, and I think that's what we have in that room. Guys that's going to push each other and hold everybody to that standard.
Yeah, that linebacker room is a good one.
Elijah Cansey, Hassan Reddick.
Here's a little bit more from AWOC.
What's your initial impression of what those guys can be in terms of pass rushers getting after the quarterback?
Yeah. The smile says it all, I guess.
His defensive line.
Just watching those guys work every day, knowing who those guys are, should be a fun year. That's all I'll say.
What's that linebacker room like with you, Deion, Levante? You don't usually come upon many rooms that have that much experience and that much stripes on your shoulders.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great room to learn from. A lot of guys that's played football at a high level. And then like you said, you got the young guys in there as well. Then you got Voss, who's up and coming. He's going to be a very good player for a very long time. You got Levante, who's the savvy vet in the room, still playing great ball. So I'm able to learn so much from these guys. They push me, continue to make me be better, and we hold each other to that standard. To be the best group in the in the building, in the league. So we got a standard to uphold every day. I think today we had the jersey swap, so you had to whoever messed up in that jersey, that's the fine you have to pay. So you didn't want guys to mess up in your jersey. So that was fun today. Just another way to compete and have fun. And like I said, it's off season, kind of gets a little long, but you still want to compete and have fun.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, pick guys that you aren't going to screw up when you do this. I guess you have to pay their fine if they screw up.
That's
so I guess
funny.
it tells you who has trust in which teammate. That's
I like
interesting
that.
stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
Let me see. We got a couple more here from AWOC.
Kind of that we're trying to set, and we got to earn.
We already did that one. Sorry about that. What else we got? A little bit more Bucky here. There we go.
Your dynamic that you have with Rashad, but what do you make of Sean Tucker? And
That was a short one.
No. Oh, what happened to that one?
That was it.
That was it?
That's it. That's all that was.
The game that we played, we had to step up and play a big role. Sean came in, like we all said, like we always just got to be ready when our number is called. And like we always just try to keep that mindset because you never know what happened in this league. Guys go down. Just being able to just always have that mindset that I got to be the next player up.
What are your impressions of the Bucs defense? They've got some new pieces: Anthony Walker, Hassan Reddick, a couple of rookies in Parrish and Morrison. What have you seen in OTAs and minicamp?
I mean, every day that we about to start a team run or a team pass, I look over there and be like, oh, they got some weapons over there. But, yeah, man, that's just a blessing for the offense, knowing that we're going against a great defense every day that's going to give us great looks. And it's just being able to go out there and compete with them at a high level, knowing that this is going to make us better and also make the team better.
What are you hoping to build off of from last year? You had such a phenomenal rookie season.
Like I said, I'm not a guy that's stuck in last year's ways. I'm just a guy that's willing to put everything else in the past and willing to get better each and every day, just being able to be better than I was last year.
So, like, what kind of things do you want to?
There's Bucky Irving as well. All these guys, I think you get that. We talk about it all the time that there's no D-bags or assholes on this team. I think when you see them all step to the mic, you get that feeling. I tell you what, Hassan Reddick and Anthony Walker, those two beards, those are menacing beards.
Pretty good, huh?
Those are solid grown-ass man beards. Very impressive. And it kind of just goes with their demeanor too. They're just both like they're really good leaders. You can tell that that's going to be one of the strengths of this defense. And I think they were lacking that last year. I really do. I think they lacked a little bit of that because Antoine was kind of in and out of the lineup. Levante has never been kind of a super vocal guy. So I think they needed a little bit of, attitude. Vita Vea is another kind of a mild-mannered guy. He plays like a beast, but a little bit more mild-mannered. So I think we got a couple guys on this team now that are maybe a little bit more vocal, and I think that's a good thing, especially for the defense.
Yeah, and this, clearly the defense is the side of the ball that needed the most help.
Yeah.
And you return all 11 starters on offense from last season, but you also had some additions in depth for the offense, like Ibuka. But I think you've added some very important pieces with the corners, with Parrish and with Morrison, and then in your linebacker core. Just the depth for this team is it's more impressive to me this year than it was last year. Now, I know you dealt with injuries a little bit last year. Dennis was gone a lot of the season, and I think that heavily impacted the defensive rankings. They took a nosedive when he left after 4 games last year.
Yeah, they really did.
The pass game and the run coverage. But no, it's just, man, I love the depth. The biggest question to me is still going into the season. Can Todd Bowles coach these guys? I know he's got some great position coaches under him, and that's, I think, what we need to rely on. But the biggest question here is going to be, now you have the talent, Todd. You got the guys you wanted, an influx of guys that you wanted, ball hawks. Now show us what you can do with them with your scheme, and let's move on from there. And if it's another abysmal performance by the defense, I think it's going to cost Bowles his job.
Yeah, I agree. It's this roster's too good not to go into a deep playoff run and win, 11, 12 games. No question about it.
Yeah.
So, and like we pointed out all the time, 2 and 6 and 7-point games, you got to be, and that's not all on Todd Bowles, obviously, but it's, you look at the great coaches in this league and, one score games, what is their record? How do they manage the games? How do they manage the clock in those situations? And I think, he does a lot of great things. There's no question about it, but that's where he's been deficient. But they got a full-time game manager now, so they're addressing every part of it, and I think that's good. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us. He's going to give his take on what he saw in OTAs this week. We are brought to you by Third Generation Plumbing. If you got any plumbing issues, AC issue, any mechanical issue in your house whatsoever, Third Generation Plumbing can handle it. They've been around since 1995. John Rodriguez saw him at the Tampa Sports Club banquet. Great dude. He's the owner. If anything doesn't go right, you contact him and he will make it right. And that's what you love about these local companies, right? You can just call them up and say, hey, this didn't go right. Rarely will it. And they'll take care of it. ThirdGenerationPlumbing.com. They also do AC. Check them out. All right, back at 3 with the great Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report. Stay with us.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite. I love it. So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Going through a medical emergency without health care insurance can cause you to go into crippling debt. In most scenarios, people are forced to either break into their retirement funds or worse, they're forced to file for bankruptcy. The sad truth is that health care insurance is crucial in today's day and age. Look, I get it. Many of you think you're never going to get sick and health insurance is really expensive. Well, we can help you out with that. Depending on your income, we can find great plans and huge discounts. God forbid you get cancer, a car accident. It could literally ruin you financially for life. So make the call and find out. Even though the open enrollment period is over, you may have some qualifying life events that can help you get covered right away. It can be very complicated, a very intimidating process, but we can help. Go to our website and check out all the 5-star reviews about our helpful agents. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. JP here for my friend Jason Fawcett, owner of On-Site Construction. They do residential and commercial renovations and new construction. As a leading home builder and general contractor, On-Site Construction prides itself on transforming homes through superior craftsmanship, dedication to client vision, and an unmatched commitment to quality and service. It's about building relationships. We take the time to understand our clients' needs, preferences, and budgets so that we can deliver a personalized experience tailored to their unique vision. From the initial designs to the final touches, we're there every step of the way, ensuring that the end result mirrors your vision. Here are some testimonials from happy customers. G. Gibson says, no hidden costs, very honest, reliable, creative, and communicates well. reasonable and fair with their pricing, no hidden costs. C. Smith said, did not disappoint. I'm very happy with the work. This company really cares and will take care of it. So if you're just thinking about building or renovating, give us a call and let's see what's possible. 813-579-5789 or check out our website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Christopher Lugo, get your concierge doctor relationship going with him at BAMMC.com. He can work with your insurance, but also be the personal caretaker for you when you need a prescription late at night, which I've had that happen, and he can send it right over to you. In fact, you can have it delivered, not even leave the house. How about that? If you have your concierge doctor who knows exactly what your needs are, your specific needs, it makes a big difference. Check it out at BAMMC.com. Give them a call, email them, set up a free consultation, find out what it's all about. All right, let's welcome in our good friend who's been out there at OTAs each and every day for Pewter Report. The great Scott Reynolds, celebrating 30 years covering the Buccaneers. Well, you don't even look 30 years old. You came out of the womb.
Thank you.
No.
And Tony Dungy was waiting there for you to write stories about the Buccaneers. Like, how'd that happen?
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Yeah, I'm excited about this break, like the players are.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for 6 weeks? Like, what are we going to talk about?
Well, we're kind of blessed because this season's the 50th year, so it's time to kind of go nostalgia over the summer and talk about best players of all time, best teams of all time in terms of, the Buccaneer, which Super Bowl champion's better, 2020 or 2002, right? The Tom Brady led offense or the Bucs defense led by Sapp, Rice, Brooks, Barber, etc. So there's going to be, I think, a lot of things the team's going to do, a lot of things we'll do at PeterReport.com to kind of celebrate the 50th year. And maybe this will be a special year, who knows? But I do think training camp is going to get here before we know it. I believe training camp starts on July 21st, which in some years it's been closer to like the 28th. So it will be here before you know it.
Well, and speaking of nostalgia, I'm sure you put in your top 50 media ballot for the Buccaneers.
Yep.
We should compare notes on that.
We should.
I don't have mine right handy, but maybe next week we'll compare.
Yeah, we'll compare. I'm going to do my official reveal later this summer, and then we'll have Peter Reports list, and we'll kind of do that.
All right, let me know when you do that, because then we'll do it. We'll do it the same week.
For sure.
There was, the first, honestly, for me, the first 35 were layups, right? I mean, that's why I went through the list that they give you 150 players,
right?
And you're like, okay, these are the layups, this, like no brainers. Then that last, you had about 15 guys. So I had about 15 spots left, and about, 30 guys for those spots.
Something like that,
I mean, it wasn't too difficult. I don't think there's anybody on there that I went.
It wasn't. It's just like, for example, I'm not going to give away my list, but it's like Tom Brady. Like, he was only here for 3 years, yet he broke records and won a Super Bowl. Right, was Super Bowl MVP. So where does he rank among players that have been here 10 plus years? Like, how high do you put him on the list, right? That, like, he deserves to be pretty high. He's like, he's in my top 15, but is he in my top 5? Is he in my top 10?
See, I didn't rank him by number. I ranked him just 50 or in.
I think you were supposed to do that.
By the number?
Yeah.
PPs doesn't count.
I
think you're supposed to do them by the number. I mean,
I know I saw that rank. I'm like, you can't do that. It's like,
well, I mean, it's easy to say Rondé Barber, Mike Evans, and all those guys, right? Leroy Selman, but it's ranking them that becomes the challenge, because then it's like, where does Mike Evans
started
rank?
To do that, and I was like, nah, I can't put. I mean, Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber, like you put one over the other. Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
I mean, all those guys. That's so like. Who
what about your Brad Culpepper and Eric Curry? Where are these guys going on your list?
Curry is nowhere on the list. He's
bye-bye.
He was not even in consideration. Culpepper didn't make it on my list, but just in terms of like one of the best interviews I've ever had, like he's one of them for sure, right? So I don't know. To me, I kind of use the criteria that that I use myself, and my last name is not Laser, but I use when I look at like the Bucs Ring of Honor, I look at did you do two things? Number one, did you play a role in helping the team, because it is a team game, it's not an individual sport, it's a team game. Did you play a role in getting the team to the playoffs and win championships, either NFC South championships, NFC Central championship back in the day, or winning the Super Bowl, right? Like that's one big element for me. Did you help this team win? Number two is, did you leave your mark on the record book, right? Did you have such a high level of performance that even if the team didn't succeed, you rewrote the record book, or you put up some numbers, right? That's the criteria for me. Were those two things, did you affect the Bucs record book? And then, also how much did you contribute to the team's overall winning and getting into the playoffs and having a chance to win championships, whether they're division or whether they're the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And that's why for me, it's tough to kind of reconcile, like Gerald McCoy. Does he deserve to be in the Ring of Honor? I don't know. I mean, he's got 6 Pro Bowls, and honestly, I don't put a lot of stock in the Pro Bowls,
right?
Especially now. It's a
yeah.
friggin' flag football game, which is it's grotesque.
Well, and then how is it voted? Like you got fans, you got some players,
So it's
media.
like the same people that would argue for Gerald McCoy getting in the Pro Bowl or getting into the Bucs Ring of Honor because he made 6 Pro Bowls. Okay, well, does that disqualify Levante David for getting in the Hall of Fame because he only made 1 Pro Bowl? You can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either the Pro Bowl matters or it doesn't. And I really don't think it matters a whole bunch, because I've seen Bucs players get jobbed over the years. Like Paul Gruber never made the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Which was ridiculous.
Right.
Antoine Winfield Jr. Didn't make the Pro Bowl. He was first team All-Pro, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl in 2023, right? Levante David was first team All-Pro in 2013, but didn't make the Pro Bowl that season.
Yeah.
It's just so that
Baker had to get in as an alternate.
It both years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe last year, but yeah, but certainly the first year.
Yeah.
Tom Brady didn't make the Pro Bowl in 2020. Kyler Murray made it.
Right.
I mean, just come on. It's a joke. So to me, I don't put a lot of stock in Pro Bowls unless you contributed to the team's overall success, unless you made an impact on the record book. Like, for example, Shaq Barrett made 2 Pro Bowls. And I'm more inclined to put Shaq Barrett in the Bucs Ring of Honor because he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in sacks with 19 and a half in 2019. And he also broke the franchise single season sack record that was set by Warren Sapp. So to me, he won a Super Bowl. He could have easily been the MVP in that game. He won the Super Bowl. He had the individual honors, made a couple Pro Bowls. He led the league in sacks, and he also broke the single season franchise record. And he's up there, even though he played for a short period of time in Tampa. He's up there in terms of the overall number of sacks. Like, I would put Shaq Barrett in before I'd put Gerald McCoy in. And I'm not knocking Gerald McCoy.
Wow.
But I'm just saying I would. I think he's done more for the franchise than Gerald McCoy has. Gerald didn't even get double-digit sacks. And again, I'm not knocking Gerald. I'm just looking at these two resumes side by side.
Everybody can't get in.
Everybody can't get in the Ring of Honor. Yeah, that's just how it is. Just like
everybody doesn't get a trophy in this contest. Sorry.
Amen.
Sorry. Some feelings are going to be hurt.
Yeah.
Put Gerald McCoy in the ring of participation.
I mean, Gerald was a good player. He really was.
He keeps receipts now. Gerald's going to hear. Yeah. You're going to get a message from him. Trust me.
I'm already blocked by him on X.
Oh wow.
So wow. But again, I don't care if he blocks me on X. I think Gerald McCoy was a very, very fine player. I really do. He just doesn't make the cutoff for me for the Ring of Honor because, again, I think there are players in the Hall of Fame that don't deserve to be there. And I think you can ask the likes of Deion Sanders, Ed Reed, Warren Sapp, some of the guys that are in, and they would tell you, like, no, he doesn't deserve to be in. I mean, like, that's just how it is. And I think the Blazers have done a really good job of like not just putting in guys every year. I think Simeon Rice was overdue.
Right.
I really do.
I agree.
And I think a player like Hardy Nickerson, who was, I want to say, a 5-time Pro Bowler, he deserves to be in because he helped take this team to the playoffs in 97 and 99. He reshaped the culture.
Yes.
He was the leader before Sapp and Brooks grew into those roles, and Lynch, right?
I agree.
And he still has the single season tackle mark, I think 2014 back in the 1993 season. So again, he's written his name in the record book. He's still in the top 5 in terms of all-time tackles.
Mm-hmm.
He made the Pro Bowl, he's made all pro teams, and then he helped the team.
The context of him
Get
kind of
into the
instilling
playoffs.
that new culture, that the new Dungy culture was huge, and that's that matters.
And I think to Gerald's detriment and not his fault. Again, it's a team sport. The teams just weren't talented enough to get in the playoffs. And even that one season where his season ended on injured reserve, but the 2010 season when they had 10 wins, but they fell just short of getting in the playoffs with Josh Freeman. They were close, but it just was no cigar.
And how do you think he felt about Ndamukong Suh getting his number and then winning?
Oh, I know how he felt. He was
Super Bowl.
He was pissed off about it. But you know what? How did Simeon Rice feel about seeing his number 97 get worn? 56, Hardy Nickerson's number got worn.
Right.
It's like, and again, I appreciate this about the Blazers. There's only a handful of elite players, right? Like 12's not going to be worn again, right? 40, 47, 20, 99, 55. Those are the numbers, right? And we've seen a lot of great players. Again, Hardy Nickerson, 56, Simeon Rice, 97, Gerald McCoy, 93. We've seen those numbers continue to get recycled, and that's okay. I mean, I'm all right with that because you have to have that elite level, and the players that are in the Ring of Honor, I think are pretty elite. There's maybe one or two guys that I kind of maybe have questions about, but overall, I think the Blazers have done a good job. They just waited too long for Simeon Rice, and I would put Hardy Nickerson in.
So when you looked at the OTAs this week, it's always hard to garner, no pads out there, especially for the linemen. We've talked a lot about Ibuka. I think he deserves that. We talked, I think Tez is certainly shown a lot. We didn't get to see a lot from Ben Morrison. I think he was out there one day. But Jacob Parrish, man, K-State, I think is really.
He's really good.
Of all the guys we've been talking about, I think he's a guy that I think really, really splashed, and I think he's going to get a lot of playing time.
He's going to get the nickel job, I believe. And then when there are matchups where, like Atlanta, when they use Drake London on the inside as a big slot receiver, you'll see Zion probably go in the slot, and then works out great because then you have a smaller, faster, twitchier corner on the outside. I mean, I'm not saying that Jacob Parrish is faster than Zion. Zion's plenty fast, but Zion at 6'3" will tell you guys like Darnell Mooney, 5'9", Atlanta Falcons receiver, give him problems because he's got long legs. So then that's fine. Then you match up Mooney with Parrish on the outside, and you've got London and McCollum on the inside.
Which matchup thing has not been something typically Todd has done. And I think to your point, this is one of the big differences we're going to see this year. More aggressiveness at the line of scrimmage, more press coverage, right?
We saw that in camp. I mean, Baker had a really bad day, and that's okay because Baker's looked really good. I think if I had to nitpick Baker, it wasn't even about the interceptions. It's for whatever reason, his calibration on the deep balls is just not great. And he's got a live arm. He's got a strong arm. He can push the ball down the field. And I think when you throw the ball to Mike can make any receiver or any quarterback look good because of the catch radius is so huge with those six, the long arms and the 6'5" frame. But Kyle Trask was throwing. He was the deep ball, like bombs away guy. And he looked really good. Kyle Trask had a fantastic offseason, OTAs and minicamp. He and Tez Johnson they've got something going on downfield. But to your point about the
can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna disagree with you on Kyle Trask.
Why?
I saw a couple picks on yesterday when he was running with the ones.
Yesterday he missed Ted for him.
He missed Tez he missed two end zone throws, guys that were open for touchdowns.
The defense won yesterday, and that was easily Kyle's worst day out of the entire offseason.
I'm just, I've been a big Kyle fan, and yesterday when I asked,
you're a Gator hater, and we understand that. It's okay. That's all right.
Bring Jameis back, right?
Oh, God.
I said that to you.
You did say
turned
that.
white. You turned.
And I have a tan, so that says something, right? I mean,
I said, "What do you think?" You know,
yeah, you don't bleed red.
Jameis,
you bleed garnet. We know that. So
it's not about
your blood
that.
is a little darker shade.
Did you think Todd's answer yesterday to my question was a ringing endorsement of Kyle Trask?
Well, no one's seen him. So, again, we saw like Todd when Jenna asked him about like, "Woo, Hassan Reddick had a couple sacks." He's like, "It's t-shirts and shorts, Jenna.
Right.
T-shirts and shorts." You know, and that's how it is. He's like, would you do even when the pads come on? Great, show me under the lights. That's just how Todd is. I mean, and we've seen, God, in my 30 years, I've touted guys, and all I'm doing is just giving you the snapshot, the picture of what's happening. Like Jalen Darden looked good. Like he's getting open in practice, a couple years ago. He's looking good in t-shirts and shorts. Then the pads come on, and he's nowhere to be found.
Right.
And the same thing with Kenny Bell back in the day, who had, he was dominating, a great receiver in practice. And then under the lights in the preseason, completely dropped passes and fumbled the ball and just vanished. And so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what happens in flag football, which is what they were playing right now. It doesn't really matter what happens when the pads come on in training camp. I mean, we've seen interceptions galore from Servassier Dennis, right? Okay, he's got to do it in the games now, right? He's got to carry that over from practice to the games and go from being a dominant practice player, which honestly he was this offseason, probably the MVP this offseason, had a great offseason. Now it's got to translate when the pads come on and the opponents are not in red and pewter. They're the other guys. And in some respects, he's done that. He had a double-digit sack game against the Lions up in Detroit in week 2, outplayed KJ Britt in that game. His first sack was a trophy sack on Jaden Daniels, who, newsflash, hard to sack.
Yeah.
So he's shown it in little instances. Now, I want to see the instincts and pass coverage come out. I want to see him pick off passes in real games, just like he did in Baker Mayfield in that first OTA, where Anthony Walker said probably one of the best linebacker plays he's ever seen.
How about that?
So, but to me, I think the defense won the minicamp.
I agree.
And part of that was the 3 should have been 4 Paris dropped a pick day of Baker Mayfield on Wednesday. But that's what you want to see. More aggressive coverage, tighter coverage, more competitiveness. We saw in OTAs Benjamin Morrison go up and knock the ball out of Emeka Egbuka's hands at the catch point above their heads. We saw Tyke Smith rip the ball away from what looked like a surefire touchdown to the back of the end zone to Jalen McMillan, ripped it out, denied the score. That's what we need to see from this defense. So this offense is still going to be extremely good.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it, but we haven't seen the defense.
Right. We saw what we
this
needed
is great,
to see,
yeah.
which was a more aggressive defense.
Yeah.
So the $1 million question, though, because this is a point of contention on the show, Scott Reynolds.
Oh, boy.
Report.com.
Yes.
I'm literally right in the middle of you two now. Here. Let's do this.
Let me look at you right now and ask you this question.
Oh, wait. That guy's an idiot over there. Don't listen to him.
Hey. I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch right now.
Right.
If you were going to be told going into the season, Baker Mayfield's going to miss 4 to 6 games.
Yeah.
Are you okay with Kyle Trask as the backup through those 4 to 6
on which 4 to 6 games.
That's what I say. They're kind of They may
really
be all
does,
together.
if I'm being honest, yeah.
They might be all together, or they might be split up.
Right.
So, you just don't know. But
if it's that stretch that has like the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Saints, and all that, like I'm okay.
Yeah.
I will say this. Generally speaking, if Baker Mayfield misses 4 games, I legitimately believe if this team is relatively healthy outside of just Baker, with an improved defense and with an offense that even if it doesn't have some of its big time stars, it seems capable of producing close to 30 points per game. I think Josh Grizzard can manage Kyle Trask enough, and especially since the bread and butter of this offense is still going to be quick, rhythmic passes underneath that are going to allow receivers and tight ends and running backs to get yards after catch. That is the bread and butter of this.
And you got a running game.
And you got a running game to lean on. I think that in any 4-game stretch, Kyle Trask can give you a 2-2 record. Okay. And I think this team, with the schedule the way it's set up, I think the floor is 10 wins. If this team stays relatively healthy is 10 wins. So if Baker's not around for all 17 games, then it's probably going to be 10 wins, right? That's kind of what I would surmise. If Baker plays all 17 games, I think you could be looking at 12 or 13 wins this season for the Buccaneers. They're just a really, really talented football team.
Agreed.
I would agree. I think one of the biggest takeaways I had from this week was Hassan Reddick. Not only, and I know it's underwear football, but you could see the way that guy moves. Is different. Yeah. He's different, and his instincts in 11-on-11. I'm like that dude. And Todd Bowles said pretty much the same thing. You could see it. He could obviously see it.
Right.
But even more than that was the leadership that I think he's going to bring. The gravitas that he displayed in that interview, where he took control of it. I think it gave me JPP and Ndamukong Suh vibes.
Yeah,
which I think those two personalities were key to winning the Super Bowl. What are your
I totally
thoughts?
agree. I think you're spot on, and they're they brought a little bit of an edge to this defense. And this guy's from Philly, right? And he went to Temple, and he's got that Temple tough, and you can just tell, like he was kind of one of those guys just kind of crafted, in the streets and in the neighborhood, and he's got that kind of do or die mentality, and he plays like his hair's on fire. A very prideful player, very team oriented guy, and what I loved, and thankfully we had the threat of thunderstorms on Tuesday to start mandatory minicamp, and usually we're like, oh crap, it means we have to go inside to the indoor practice facility where the vantage points are not good. But during special teams, before we went back outside when the storm clouds passed, the entire starting defensive front was right there in front of us because Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby don't play special teams, neither do Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey. So those four were working with Charlie Strong, just kind of walking through some of their pass rush play calls, etc. That's going to be the front four. And then you had Logan Hall and Desmond Watson come over a couple plays later and kind of get in the mix too. But I love the interaction I saw between Diaby and Reddick. And that this is going to be the bookend. This is going to be the JPP Shaq from back in the day here. Diaby knows the defense because he's been here 2 years, 2-year starter essentially. And Reddick is new, but Reddick knows how to get to the quarterback. And those two guys I saw just talking a lot, communicating, and it was more technical with Reddick kind of showing Diaby hand placement stuff and get off and foot and all that stuff. And then for Diaby, it was where to line up, because it was really Reddick's first practices. And so I just thought that was incredibly helpful for both of those guys. And to have Reddick want to come in and play his usual left edge rusher spot, going up against right tackles in the face of quarterbacks. And then Diaby, who prefers being on the right side. He hated flip-flopping sides.
Yeah.
Now he's on the right side on a regular basis. He has a chance to truly learn his opponent from the first snap to after halftime into the fourth quarter, right? Be able to set up moves, get a feel for a guy. And that's what Yaya said on our podcast is, he would get so frustrated just when he feels like he knows the left tackle, he's playing the left end going up against the right tackle. Right. And now he has a chance to have a home base. And you look at guys like Trey Hendrickson, he always rushes from the right.
That's right.
And TJ Watt, he always rushes from the left. Right. Derek Thomas always rushed from the right when I was in Kansas City. And Neil Smith was always the left guy, the left end. And when you have that, you have the ability to truly hone in and perfect your craft. And I think that's going to be a huge benefit now. And
you're working with the same defensive tackle too, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And that front four has the chance to really work together with twists and stunts and games and really get after quarterbacks.
I was talking about the combination of Vita Vea and Hassan Reddick and how most times when quarterbacks get pressure from the outside, what do? They step up and to the right if they're right-handers.
Right.
And you got Vita.
A little hard to do when the pocket's collapsing in front of you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that combination on that side, I think, is going to be tremendous, and not allow the Jaden Daniels, the Jalen Hurts, those guys who love to step up to the right. You can't do it, and if they try to go out the back with the speed of those two guys.
That's right.
Good luck with that. So
yeah, and then with you rushing 4 instead of having to rely on blitzes to get pressure, if you're rushing 4, you might have Servassier Dennis just in the middle of the field spying.
So you mean the middle of the field won't be wide freaking open all the time?
Be.
Great
It
wide
shouldn't
open
be this
The
year.
great wide open will be shut down.
Exactly. Yeah. There will be no more parting of the Red Sea.
Yeah.
And you might see Servassier Dennis get some sacks, not just on blitzing, but on some cleanup sacks, right? Where that quarterback does find an escape lane and, all of a sudden, the grade 8 is right there. So
good luck with that.
Yeah.
All right, Scotty, great stuff, my friend. Appreciate your time as always. I'm sure we'll see you throughout the off season, but have a great weekend. Tell all the folks how they can get your great, you did some great podcasts this past week, and they can still go see those with Jason Light. And
absolutely. We didn't have one yesterday when the internet went down, but but it came back on.
Yeah.
So we'll have a Pewter Insider podcast today for our insiders, and then we'll have a full slate of 4 podcasts next week where we'll kind of wrap up OTAs and then talk about the offseason, some of our other observations of what this team needs to do. That's every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 o'clock throughout the offseason on Pewter Report TV. Go back and watch our Jason Light and Todd Bowles interviews as well.
Stuff.
We've
really
got
good.
some more Bucs guests lined up for the summer, so that'll be fun when we get those lined up. We'll let you know. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Pewter Report when the internet is working. And then also you can go to pewterreport.com when it's up, when the internet decides to cooperate.
It may not be working this weekend. Good luck. Good luck with that. We shall see. Thanks, partner. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Great Scott Reynolds there. All right, we got some new people in today. We have Abraham Vaticancherry. Well, that's a nice name. Scott Reynolds, congratulations for completing 30 years of journalistic excellence. And Bat W says, I'm new and I like the show. Well, we like you, Bat W.
Bat W.
Yeah, you got a cowboy with a rifle.
Yeah, I like your avatar
horse.
there. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys listening from? Let us know.
Yeah, love to know where y'all are from. Appreciate you jumping in, as we appreciate all the other folks in here, like James, who said, Gerald McCoy, nice guy, but not Ring of Honor player.
No,
paid close to $100 million. Bet he's happy he was drafted before rookie salary. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All
of
those
them
guys
are.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. I know it was a little different schedule this week. If you like that 1 to 3, we know how Timmy feels about it. Let me know. We could be doing that I think we're going to do that for training camp, especially because we can go in the morning, get all all the stuff, and then bring it to you right that day instead of the next day. Yeah, better content. So I will look to do that. But for the next foreseeable future, it looks like we'll be on from 10 to 12. But keep it go. Always follow our X at JP Peterson Show and Instagram and Facebook. Follow that. We'll do all our announcements right there if we change the schedule. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Rays, and we will see you on Monday. What up, Johnny Garber? Why don't you jump in here and talk to us?